Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District meeting. Today's date is August 26, 2020, and I want to invite the clerk to call the roll, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Director Bruins? Carr? Harris?
Here.
Howell? Hume?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
McGarvey?
Here.
Natoli?
Here.
Orozco?
Here.
Peters?
Here.
Cerna?
Here.
Villegas?
Here.
Warren? And Frost. You have a quorum.
Here, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And for our public announcement, in compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to the guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When I open for public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda item, you will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. And if the clerk would now please read the video statement and move on to public comment.
This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts is being recorded and will be broadcast on Sunday, August 30th at 6 p.m. on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County Supervisors and City of Sacramento Council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the costs of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. And for your item number 1, you have comments from the public on issues not on the posted agenda. We do not have any verbal comments in the queue, and we did not receive any written comments.
Okay, and so we will move on to agenda item number 2, please.
Agenda item number 2, acting as your Sacramento Regional Counties, County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District separate matters, update on the economic development and support efforts of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District.
And this morning we have Christoph Dobson, who is our Director of Policy and Planning. Welcome, Christoph.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair and board members on the phone. As Director Frost said, I'm Christoph Dobson, Director of Policy and Planning, and today I'm going to talk to you about some of our economic development and support efforts. Today's presentation, just want to highlight, thank you. Just want to highlight Regional SAN and SASD's programs designed to develop and support the region's economy. And
excuse me, Christoph, I just want to remind everyone on the phone, if you can mute your phone. If you have things in the background, mute your phone. Thank you very much.
and raise awareness of the available programs. We have a number of these, and it's probably obvious, but why now? The pandemic has highlighted some of the economic challenges that we're having. So we thought it would be a good time, a good opportunity to talk about our economic development and support efforts throughout the district. I'm going to start off with, I think, one of our most important ones is our rate reductions. We have set up a tiered billing reduction system during the time it's covered by the county public health order. One of the items that we've done is to temporarily remove delinquency fees. And then this tiered system is based on the category of business. So we haven't gotten into too much detail. We've used our own billing categories to estimate the types of businesses that might be affected and how much they might be affected by the public health orders. And so a business that has been significantly affected would have we would consider to have a 0% usage, and the only charge they would get would be a 1 ESD minimum charge, and that's required in our ordinance. And then for a 25% usage, they would have a 75% credit, 50% usage would be a 50% credit. So for example, restaurants are kind of operating in this in-between where they have takeout, but they don't have dine-in. So those are set at 50%, so they're getting a 50% reduction in their rates. Just to highlight the cost of this. Obviously, it isn't free. Regional SAN is losing about $1.2 million per month in revenue due to those credits, and SASD, it's $330,000. The next program is the Economic Development Bank. This is our oldest program that I'm aware of that we're still doing. Regional SAN bought back unused industrial capacity, and this excess capacity was placed in the Economic Development Bank, what we call the Econ Bank, as credits against impact fees. So we made 2 purchases back in the late 90s, early 2000s, totaling a little over $15 million. And these credits are then used to reduce the impact fees. And those numbers have changed over the years, but right now it's a reduction of $3,009 in the new area and $2,679 in the infill area. And this program is sunsetting actually this year. So if there are any credits left, I believe only the county has some remaining credits, but any remaining credits get cashed out. And the other cities that also have the credits have done a little bit of that over the last few years as we got closer to the sunset date.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question on this? This is Director Natoli.
Yes, Director Natoli?
Yeah, just on this point, Christoph, I know that we've been working in the county on a couple of different septic conversion projects where those credits, particularly for the commercial, but also maybe potentially for the residential, could be utilized. Is there the ability to have agreement recognizing that requires, a number of steps to get to those project, implementations? Is there the ability then through the district working with the county in this case to have agreement around, the proposed projects, which are still obviously, in the works, to utilize those credits rather than cash them out?
Yes, we've been working with the county, but it's a good reminder that you mentioned that. We haven't talked probably in a month or so, but we had at least a verbal agreement that they would be setting aside the credits that we could then use for projects within a certain time period, and we hadn't identified that time period yet, but that would allow us to move forward with projects. And then ultimately, if we didn't move forward with one of them, then those could be still reimbursed the dollar amount that they could be cashed out still to the county.
Okay. And the rough number is what, about 700, 600 credits? So.
Yeah, 600 credits ESDs, roughly.
Yes. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Chris.
I have a question. This is Director Orozco. Back to item 2 with respect to the rate relief. I know that West Sacramento has a different relationship when it comes to billing. Are West Sacramentans here able to participate in the reduction in rates in the same fashion as all of the other areas?
Yes, so each of our billing agencies we've worked with, and some of the details aren't exactly the same, but the credits are basically the same, and we've been working with each of our contributing agencies on that, or billing agencies.
Okay,
Let me add on that
if-
a little bit, because the SASD service area we bill through CUBS and Regional SAN. Bill also is through CUBS, but not every billing agency has the ability to reduce these charges right away. So it took a bit of work. I mean, I should say that it initially was a little bit of a concern on their part in terms of how much work would entail in terms of having those reductions put in place. And I think we even offered to pay, compensate these individual billing agencies for reasonable expenditures that they would incur in implementing these reductions, so that these would be implemented across uniformly within the regional SAN district. So I think with that assurance, the agencies stepped up and started providing that credit.
Okay, thank you. And so we are working with someone in West Sacramento, or has there been ongoing communication about this?
Yes, there's been
Excellent.
a number of different outreach efforts, and Amy Norman, our customer service manager, is working with each of the billing agencies, including West Sacramento.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, the next topic is our Confluence. So this is kind of, in a way, replacing the old Economic Development Bank program that's sunsetting this year. This is already up and running. It's our Confluence Regional Partnership Program, and there's a component which is economic development. SASD and Regional SAN both have similar programs. They're grants to reduce impact fees for new or expanding businesses, and there's a sliding scale on this. Basically, a larger job creation equals a higher reduction in your impact fees. But the numbers are 1 to 5 new jobs, a 15% reduction, 6 to 10 new jobs is a 25% reduction, and then anything over 11 jobs gets a 50% reduction. So SASD's program allows up to $225,000 annually, can be granted in this program, and then for Regional SAN, it's up to $1 million. Since the creation, setup of this program, the businesses that have taken advantage of this have created over 1,800 jobs, and we've awarded over $1.4 million between the two districts.
How do you notify people who are bringing businesses in about this?
Yeah, so go ahead, Christoph. Why don't you address, and I'll address something else.
So there are a couple of ways. One is that the permit counters have flyers and they have information so that they can tell people that they're available when they come in. But there's also been a little bit of, there's been a fair amount of effort in talking with the economic development staff of each of the agencies, and they have the information. So we're kind of relying on the cities and the county to do that outreach out, because they know better where the business owners are.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. So there is the cities and the counties, the two counties, they have indicated that this is the only program that they have of this kind to attract. They don't see any other utility providing this type of grant reduction in fees. So they really appreciate it. That's number one. The second point is, even though the policy applies a limit of $1 million for Regional SAN and $250,000 for SASD, there's a little bit of wiggle room in the policy that allows me to move monies if there are certain areas aren't spent that they could be moved here to increase. But beyond that, if we have a big project that's coming in, we could bring it back to the board so that the board can take action beyond this amounts here. And that's the reason we set up reserve associated with this program. So both of the districts carry some reserves. So if there's a need that can't be met on a year-to-year basis, we can tap into the reserves and bring the businesses in. So I think it's, like Christoph said, we haven't tapped out since the program has been in place. Hopefully with this economic downturn, when people are trying to restart their businesses, they would be able to use this and benefit from it.
It's wonderful.
All right, I'm going to go on to the next program. This is just simply extended payment plans. So as a new business coming in, and this applies to residential as well, you can enter into an agreement for a 24-month low-interest financing for all sewer impact fees. And then also there's an additional program for industrial sewer impact fees, and they can actually finance over a 30-year period. Another program is our phased development agreements. We don't have a whole lot of these, but sometimes they're very helpful to an individual development. A project proponent may defer their sewer impact fees that relate to a portion of the parcel that's not being developed. So an example would be maybe a parcel that's going to be a shopping center and have a grocery store, then with some smaller buildings around it and maybe out in the parking lot. They could pay the fees if they enter into this agreement, pay the fees just for that grocery store, let's say, to get it started, and then maybe a couple years down the road they're ready to build those other buildings and develop those. They could pay the rest of the fees. They would pay the fees due at that time, so that the fee could have gone up, but they would pay the fee that's in place at the time. As I said, we don't use... Are the
fees charged at the beginning of their process, or can they defer it to the end?
Well, it's a building permit.
So it's an upfront fee still for that part of the project that they're building out.
Correct. So it's near the beginning of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're asking is there an ability for the deferral, which is the next slide. It's coming up. Yes, they can.
Yeah, there's more.
Because sometimes that can make it happen.
Yes, it's coming up right after this. You'll see that. Yeah.
So as I mentioned, 8 agreements in the last 12 years. So they come, every 1 or 2 years. We did do one recently this past January. All right, so that leads us right to fee deferral. So these are available for all projects, affordable housing, residential, commercial, and industrial. And these are 5-year deferrals, so they can defer up to 5 years. And as you said, that allows for the opportunity to get some of that built and then have some of the revenue come in so that they can pay the fees.
We charge about 10% at the beginning, and the rest of the fee is deferred for 5 years.
That's a big deal.
And we also, that fee is locked in. So when a development starts, because the fees go up every year based on inflation. So once they put the permit and ask for a deferral, we charge 10%, and there's a little bit of administration or a small administration fee, but the fee is locked in at that, and so that's how it's paid.
All right, and then along with the fee deferrals are fee waivers. Those are available just for very low-income housing, and it waives completely the payment of the sewer impact fee. There are caps on that, of course, annual cap of 200 units or 5% of the residential building permits in the previous fiscal year, whichever is greater. And there's a slightly different program for West Sacramento, but it's prorated to basically have a similar cap based on the development activity in West Sacramento.
On this area, one of the things that we have not seen in the last few years is that the use of these by the developers. When the economy was good, not in the last few months, very few of these units were going in. Consequently, they were not able to take advantage of this benefit, but it's there. And SHRA is involved, and they can guide people when they come to apply for these kinds of permits.
All right, a couple more programs. These are statewide pooled tax-exempt financing programs, which can finance both our impact fees and then our sewer improvements that are necessary for those developments. They're called SKIP and BOLD. SKIP is the statewide community infrastructure program, and BOLD is the bond opportunities for land development. SKIP, we've already done 33 of these since 2018, so it's been pretty popular. And then BOLD is a newer one. We've just done one so far, but that's a brand new program. Many of you are probably familiar with BERC. That's the Business Environmental Resource Center. It's a free, confidential, non-regulatory business retention resource. So they're there to help businesses be good environmental stewards and comply with all the regulations that they have. In particular, for the sanitation districts, they help businesses with permits and discharge requirements, mercury reduction goals, pollution prevention, and then our sewer use questionnaires. And Regional San provides about $100,000 annually, roughly, to support BERC. And finally, I want to touch on a service level, and I probably should have capitalized service and levels. Those are the big picture performance measures that we have that the board actually approves. For SASD, they have 7 of them, and this one in particular is for development review time. So most of the measures are around our customer service, how quickly we get out to the site from an overflow, how many overflows we have. In this case, the customer service is for development in the development review. So what we have is a number of different documents that we have to review in the development process. For example, a plan check. We establish a time window that is a reasonable time to get that turned around and back to the developer. And our service level is to hit that target 90% of the time. As I mentioned, the plan checks is 20 business days. That's the standard time window for that. In 2019, SASD met that target 95% of the time, so we're meeting the target for our development review time. And just in conclusion, Regional San and SASD support a number of economic development programs and partnerships. As I've mentioned kind of throughout, we're working with our economic development partners in the cities and counties, and we are here to support existing businesses and hopefully boost some new ones. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any more questions.
I'm trying to remember on the fines that you are waiving. Are they waived just for those businesses that are impacted during COVID, or is it everybody is just receiving a break at this time if they ask for it? How does that work?
Yeah, but Prabhakar, do you have the details of that?
These are the delinquency fees is what you're referring
Yes.
to. So it's anybody that calls and asks. That remember, your board gave us the authorization. I think one of the things that we don't want to do blanket is because nobody would pay the bill if you don't have to.
Right.
So where people really felt they had the need for it, they would call and we're placing them. Delinquencies are not placed on their bills.
Do we have any board members on the call who have questions or comments? No comments or questions, so I just want to say thank you to Prabhakar and Christoph and the team for your thoughtfully thinking through so many levels how we can help businesses and development, and not only during hard times, but you've always been doing this, and so these economic development supports really make a difference, and I know from our perspective as a board, it's appreciated. Many times makes things happen that couldn't have happened otherwise. So, and I think the sewer district does a lot. So.
Yeah, I want to add, just as a parting comments, the timing is because of the economic situation that we're in. You're interacting with your constituents, and they're asking these questions. So we want to make sure that you have this knowledge. so that you can say what is there for the sewer service side of things, which sometimes can be a fairly expensive proposition. The second thing that I also want to note is that we know of no water district or sanitary district or sanitation district that has as comprehensive programs as we do. And just by the economic development staff of the cities and the counties that are part of this jurisdiction, their thing is we have water agencies in our own thing, but they don't have anything like this. So we've always been a step ahead for the most part. I think with the addition of the Confluence program, the changes in deferrals, increasing periods and things like that, we really are at the forefront in this. I can definitely proudly say that we are probably the top in the state when it comes to in terms of economic vitality support. But we also do these kinds of things for the low-income folks. We've always had the low-income support program and things like that. So that's how the districts have been doing and will continue to do.
And I love that you're setting a timeline for service levels, services to response time line. That's got to be very appreciated.
It is, and often you're surprised. Service levels aren't new for the districts. Both districts have had them for over 10 years. But if you look at the other sanitation districts and the water districts, you won't find them. Very few of them have them. But as they say, you don't do better unless you measure.
Right. We should have that at all levels.
So that's what we've been doing that for over a decade with both districts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Director Hume?
Yeah, this is Director Hume. Prabhakar, I just wanted to kind of put a fine point on what you just said there. I think it's important that Regional SAN has been such good stewards of our fiduciary responsibility in managing our money that we're able to do some of these programs and offer assistance to those forces that drive our economy and also offer relief to people who are struggling in our economy. And I think that both ends of that spectrum are important. And as you noted earlier on in your comments, sometimes it's just a psychological effect that the fact that some agency is stepping up to the table and say, here, let us help you if you ask for it. I know down in Elk Grove, it's been very well received to put sewer credits on the table for economic development purposes, and for those people who are needing some sort of lifeline tossed to them just to be able to take a breath is very important during these times. So I want to thank staff for really managing the district so well.
And you bring up a very good point. I was going to say, I'm sorry. You bring up a very good point. Because your board's been very diligent in providing the guidance so that we have a very excellent financial position. Both districts are in a good position. And we're able to continue to do these. When I look around other water districts, sewer districts, many of them started reducing staff and actually having delaying the projects that they needed to do because of not in as good a position as we're in. It's because of the work that you all have done, providing the guidance that's needed for us to do what we're doing.
Underscores the importance of reserves and good financial management.
Yes. And this is Director Orozco. I just wanted to echo the comments that my fellow directors have already made, especially the last one. In West Sacramento, we just recently moved over to metered water rates, and our bills are incredible. I mean, for me, it's more than doubled, and I'm able to afford to pay that. But that's not the same situation as many, if not most, of our residents. And so, different. And I just want to commend staff and just you have done.
Great, thank you. I think we're having, I don't know about everyone else, it's struggled to understand the words sometimes, but did you hear what she said, Prabhakar?
For the most part. There was a little bit of a breaking, but I think we got the gist of it. Thank you.
Okay, next item, please.
Item number 3, acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, District Separate Matters, Miscellaneous Director, and District Engineer Matters.
Just a couple of things. Our next meeting is on September 23rd. We will not have the first meeting in September, so the next is on September 23rd. And then just a quick update on, if you remember that the districts have embarked on a staffing services study, and we have a subcommittee that was stood up. The last meeting before this most recent one, we was in February. And because of the COVID, there's about almost a 6-month hiatus, and the committee re-met in August. And one of the key things that we presented was that the districts saw how the human resources functions are being provided at the Central Contra Costa Sanitation District. We learned a lot of things in terms of how they do and what the differences between that district and what we have through the current service through the county. And so those were essentially highlighted to the committee. And what we're going to do is, because there's a parallel effort with the Master Interagency Agreement, I think we're going to shift the direction, and we're going to bring the Master Interagency Agreement discussions with the subcommittee, probably most likely in October is when we'll have the next meeting. So anyway, that's just the update that I wanted to provide. No actions were taken at that meeting. There's a few members on the call that were part of the committee discussion.
Yes, I think the committee was formed late last year.
That's correct.
And they're continuing their work.
That's right. That's correct.
Thank you for the update.
That's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, any comments from directors? Okay, moving on, as Sacramento Area Sewer District.
District Consent Matters, items 4 and 5.
Okay, does anyone have any items that they wish to pull for questions, or do we have a motion on consent?
Lacking anyone pulling and lacking public comment, this is Director Hume. I'd move consent.
Second, Carr.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Hume, a second by Director Carr. If the clerk will please call the vote.
And I just wanted to report, we do not have any public comments on any of the items on consent.
Oh, thank you.
Director Bruins?
Aye.
Director Carr?
Aye.
Frost?
Aye.
Howell? Kennedy?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Cerna? Cerna? McGarvey?
Aye.
Hume?
Aye.
And the motion passes.
Thank you, Alma. And so I just want to make note that there are some communications that are received and filed. Our Sacramento County Sanitation District's Financing Authority meeting was canceled. And do any of our directors have any comments or announcements that they would like to share?
This is Director Lee. I wasn't called in the row. I do vote aye.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pugh.
I'm sorry. Who was that?
Directly is not on SAST board.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, as long as Director Hume is there, then Director Lee doesn't have to be.
I think
for
we're
this.
good
Yeah,
on the
we're
vote.
good.
Thank you for the correction. I appreciate that, Prabhakar.
Yeah.
No problem. And so, Prabhakar, did you have any final comments?
No, I think we're good. Good for the next meeting.
With that, this meeting is adjourned, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone in September.
Thank you.